90.3 and 91.7 KEXP Seattle, KXOT Tacoma, Olympia. We were live in the KEXP studios. That was interesting because that was a live track from the Chameleons when they visited just almost exactly 2 years ago. And here comes Damon Gough, otherwise known as Badly Drawn Boy. Or maybe I'm going to change it. Dadley Bondroy. I don't know what that would be.
The best thing is my brother worked out recently that Badly Drawn Boy is you can make an anagram. There's an extra Y, but if you put the Y at the start, why draw Bob Dylan?
I like that one.
I love that one.
So, we can always change that around. If you ever tire of just the same old, we can change that around for you.
I might change the whole thing to why draw Bob Dylan, though.
It's funny because if you were Why Draw Bob Dylan and you came out perhaps with this latest album, 1 + 1 is 1, maybe it would have got a different kind of attention than it did because people already knew you as Badly Drawn Boy and you had already become famous under that name.
Yeah, the name's a bit of a weird one. It served me very well, and I think in the early days it intrigued people in England when I was starting out, and I think people wondered what Badly Drawn Boy was, who it was, or was it a band, or was it? And people don't know really. But I've started to really despise the name because it's so stupid, and I don't think it really justifies the ability that I've now got to write songs. I think people think it's a joke still, but anyway, I'll stick with it for the time being.
And if you changed it, well, maybe we'll think of something today, or maybe it would just be Why Draw Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I've just never wanted to use Damon Gough. I don't know why. It's not like I'm embarrassed by my name. I find it quite appealing as a name, but it just doesn't sound like. It just never sounded like I could use it. I don't know. I think I was just always looking for something to hide behind. But anyway, a name's a name. Once it's been around a long time, the Beatles is a really terrible name. Oasis.
Okay, now we're gonna get mail.
Well, it is if you look at it. But it's a brilliant name now that the history's there.
Yeah, it's probably what you make it. Do you have that same issue with song titles, or is it really just about your name and how you're presenting yourself? Is it hard to title the songs that you write?
Not really, no. I pride myself on coming up with interesting titles or thought-provoking titles, or it's all one and the same. It's all the same thing. It's expression. And I'm just happy to be further down the line than I was when I started out. And
yeah,
it was very exciting at the start, and I had lots of accolades and the Mercury Prize in England, and ever since the press have really not really. I mean, I've had really good critical acclaim for every album I've made, but I don't tend to get applauded as much these days. It's just because I'm established, so you don't get name dropped as much.
That's right.
It's pretty much. It's better to be in that position, though. You're not the cool kid on the block, the cool new kid on the block anymore. I'm almost like Paul Weller now. I've been around long enough to be hated.
Well, expectations are different. You're probably under a lot of pressure with the second release to repeat the success of the first release, and after winning the Mercury Prize, and like you said, just seemingly just suddenly come upon the scene. Nothing's going to equal perhaps that sort of excitement, so that, like as you said, you can continue to do the music and not worry so much about that. Yeah,
it's much more interesting to be. I mean, I'm approaching recording my 5th album, which I'm going to start probably in January, and so 5 albums is a fair tally.
Yeah,
and that's halfway to 10, I think, if my maths are right.
Well, 1 + 1 is 1. That's all I know as far as the math goes.
Well, that was a strange title, because I actually did have a mental block. It's a song that's about 7 or 8 years old, the title track of the new album, 1 + 1 is 1, and I sincerely believed that was the sum, 1 + 1 is 1, because 1 divided by 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I had this mental block, and I wrote down that, and then the next day I realised it was wrong, but I really liked the notion of it, like it could mean 2 people becoming 1 or something like that, and so yeah, that was I can't play that tune today. I'll be playing it tonight, though, at the showbox.
Okay. The thought-provoking music and lyrics of Badly Drawn Boy. He's live in the KEXP studios, and he just mentioned he's going to be at the showbox tonight. What is the first song you're going to do here?
I was going to do a song called This Is That New Song off the new album.
Great.
It's quite a sad song. I've realised I do focus on sadness far too much. I'm going to cheer up on the next album, I think. But there's a lot of things happened when I was making this album last year. A close friend of mine passed away, unfortunately, and it was quite sudden. And I already had a lot of the songs knocking around, but after that event, it made me think differently about the record, and it had to suit a certain aesthetic. And this song, this is that new song, is the idea behind it is sort of like imagining that it's a really old song that I wrote years ago, and that my friend would have heard it because he never got to hear it. So it's sort of like that. This is that new song I told you about 20 years ago, which is in the lyric.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that one.
All right.
I might cry in the middle of it though. I won't really.
We'll hold you up.
Shall I do it?
Yes, it is Badly Drawn Boy on KEXP.
Thanks. And if I knew the answers, I would tell you now. Just what would be the chances that I could show you how? If I knew where all the tears were coming from, add up all the years that you've been gone. This is that new song I told you about 20 years ago. Do you know what true romance is? And could you show me now? Just what would be the chances that I could tell you how? If I knew where all the tears were flowing to, guide them to a river where I'd swim with you downstream. This is that old dream I told you about 20 years ago. Could you hold me now?
Music from Badly Drawn Boy live in the studios of KEXP 90.3 and 91.7 FM. You seem like somebody who, I mean, obviously when you described that song, it's came from a very emotional place, and you even mentioned you may feel really emotional playing it. How do you reconcile, like, kind of bearing your soul with your songwriting and performing when you're performing in front of a crowd of, you know, people who are maybe they're partying and, you know what I mean, they're not exactly in that same space with you?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've been really fortunate with the way people have accepted my music, and I always want more. You know, I want more people to be into the music, but everyone, you know, I hate using the word fans, but anywhere in the world, the audiences that have come to see me play, generally, really, I don't know, it's an unprecedented amount of support that I get. You know, people really rooting for me. started from the ground upwards, like in England, and then the same here. This is I think my fifth American tour, and even from the first tour, it was like I just had this sense of people really rooting for me. Something about what I do, because I sort of was the underdog, and the name sort of exemplifies that. Badly Drawn Boy was always intended to be, and I started late, and I sort of almost feel like this shouldn't really happen to me, and now that it has, I'm just really sort of riding with it, and the fans seem to do the same, and I feel like really connected to them. But yeah, doing a song like that, sometimes you and then performing it, then I really felt connected to the words in it. Sometimes you sing it and you don't. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes on stage, when I'm far away from home, my mind's wandering when I'm playing a song, and I might hit wrong notes and things like that because I'm thinking about home. I'm thinking about the kids or something, and but it depends. Every night's different, and that's what keeps it really interesting. Did a show last night in Portland, and everything went so well. It was great, and other nights you have things go wrong, but you learn how to cope with all of those things, and just get on with it, and remember that it is really fun. You're in a privileged position to do this in the first place.
So it's the audience support and the audience connection, and your music is something that a lot of people can relate to. So I'm sure you can bring more people into that. But I'm wondering, because you do write some sad songs, if you're like a lot of people I've met who write sad songs, and if you're very, very funny in the other parts of your life.
I'm bloody hilarious. Sorry, I can't swear, can I? I'm hilarious. Yeah.
No, that wasn't bad. We can use that.
Well, my live show has always been a mixture of funny, and I used to get tagged as a comedian really in the early days, like I was doing stand up, which I was quite proud of. And
you were really doing stand up, or
not really?
It was like you were.
I was compensating for a lack of material in terms of songs, because I got asked to do some shows early on. I didn't really have that many tunes to play, so I'd be on stage for an hour and I'd just tell a story and I'll crack a joke and then play a sad song. And some people thought it was great, and other people really criticised me in those early days. Like, how can that be? How can you be both of those things? But yeah, I mean, I'm not a depressed person at all. I'm sort of conscientious, I hope, and I worry about the world. I'm a worrier, and I worry about the world we live in, and sometimes the sadness comes from that. But it's like when people say they're not a fan of the Smiths because it's miserable. I mean, it's all about the perspective. A great sad song by somebody like the Smiths can be the most uplifting thing if you're into that music, and that's that. I mean, emotions do mix together. There are crossover parts of happy and sad.
Yeah, and it's like we were saying about the sad music. The reason people relate to it is that it speaks to a universal experience, and you're expressing that through.
I sometimes worry about doing too many sad. I mean, I'm going to do another sad song in a minute. It's about a suicide note, and but I don't know, something about it touches me. But I think it's quite hard as well to write happy tunes and not sound cheesy. But I'm really hoping to be able to do that in the near future. I've definitely done some up songs. I've got quite a few up songs in the set that we'll do later tonight. But I think it's where your mindset is. I mean, I am in the position at the minute where I'm really happy with the way my life's going, and everything's great. But when you're playing gigs, I love what I'm doing, and I love playing these songs. That's one of my favourite songs that I just played, and I'll play it. And when you're playing it, you're transported to that kind of mentality, but of perhaps feeling a bit thoughtful. And then the next song you do will be a happier one. That's what it's all about, really. But
we are going to hear another sad song now.
Yeah.
What's this one going to be?
It's a song called A Minor Incident, which was on the soundtrack to About a Boy a couple of years ago. And it was in the book. There's a suicide note left where the mother attempts to suicide and fails, but leaves the note for the boy. And I didn't refer to that when I was writing the songs, because Nick Hornby writes it in the book. But in the film, you just see the kid reading the letter, so it needed some. Me and the directors said we need a song there, and they had a Bob Dylan song in there. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, which is one of my favourite Dylan tunes. And so I thought the task was to write something of that ilk. So it came out of that. So shall I do it?
Yep.
there's nothing I could say to make you try to feel okay, and nothing you could do to stop me feeling the way I do. And if the chance should happen that I never see you again, just remember that I'll always love you. I'd be a better person on the other side, I'm sure, and you'd find a way to help yourself find another door, to shrug off minor incidents, make us both feel proud. I just wish I could be there to see you through. You always were the one to make us stand out in a crowd, though every once upon a while your head was in the cloud. And there's nothing you could never do to ever let me down, and remember that I'll always love you. Remember that I'll always love you.
Badly Drawn Boy live in the KEXP studios. He's playing tonight at the Crocodile, and it's really the beginning of a tour.
Showbox.
At the Showbox, thanks.
I played the Crocodile once. My first show in Seattle was at the Crocodile.
Was that the one? No, that wasn't the one where we talked. But the time that you came here and we talked, we had a great time. But that night you had a rough time at the actual venue.
Oh yeah, it was one of the.
Do you remember that?
It was one of the craziest gigs I've ever been involved in. It was seconds into the show, and this very very attractive young lady climbed onto the stage and sat in front of me on my monitors, my wedges that I hear the songs through, and she was very 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 attractive and being provocative, and I didn't know what to do. I was blushing, and this is like seconds into the start of the gig, and I just chose to ignore her, and she just stayed there for the whole of the first song, and then she got evicted from the stage and then came back up again, and then some row broke out in the audience, and some girl was heckling me, and I told her to leave, and
yeah. And
then this guy told me I had a go at me for having a go at a girl, and I said, well, she started it, and then somebody threw a glass of beer in the guy's face. And then he got escorted out by about 10 members of the audience, and it was pretty mental, but it was the only show on that tour that was reported in the British press typically. Because it was a great tour, and that was a great. I mean, gigs like that happen, and it's memorable.
Yeah, least. That's what I was going to say.
And if that girl is listening, if she's still in Seattle, I don't know, because Americans move around a lot. They tend to, but if she's around there, I'd say thanks for that, because it's a good memory.
Yeah, it's something we'll all. Well, I don't know if it's treasure is the right word, but we'll all certainly remember that for some time to come.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit more off the rails as well a few years ago, because I was sort of coping with what was happening. Lots of things. I made four albums in 4 years and had 2 children, and then the fame thing sort of creeping up gradually, and so I was drinking a bit too much, and so I'm not saying, but I wouldn't change that, because I think what I was doing at the time was valid and a representation, like an honest representation of who I was at the time. And now, a few years later, I'm much more together and proficient and play sort of a more cohesive show, but still with those chance happenings that can happen.
Well, one thing we can always say about you is that you're very genuine, and so if people want the genuineness, that's where you're coming from, both in the recorded music and the live experience.
Yeah, I just really, I mean, I find a lot of this that I do, I find it very hard. I find doing gigs very hard. I find touring hard, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah, and you have to do it to do your profession, but you seem like somebody who would naturally be a homebody. You love your family. You don't like being away from your kids, and you get homesick. It sounds like when you're far from home.
I dread leaving, and I spoke to my daughter earlier on today. Sometimes some days pass and you just didn't get the time to phone. I spoke to her. She's only 3, and she said, "Are you nearly home?" I said, "Well, not really. But it won't be long." It can be quite emotional, but it's what life's about. It's like it's leaving, getting back home. It's worth going away for that moment when you get back. It's like when they run up to you at the airport. It's the best thing in the world. So if you didn't go away, you'd never get that.
That's true. So there are some moments to treasure there. But you do now, you were mentioning before we went on the air that you're doing some things outside music, and we might mention inside music. I mean, you own this label, Twisted Nerve, with an old pal. It seems like you keep the same people around you, too. I mean, Steve's touring with you again, and he was here with you 2 or 3 years ago.
I've been trying to shake him off, but...
Steve, what? He just he won't go away.
Yeah.
And Andy Votel, who you founded the Twisted Nerve label with, I think you were schoolmates. It just seems like when you keep someone around you there's a lot of loyalty there.
Yeah, it's important, really. Like having Steve around, he's been tour managing me now for like 3-4 years, and if you can get somebody that you get on with and you like and keep that continuity, it helps you get through the difficult parts of all this stuff.
That's right, and there's some security there where, everything else, like we said, you're away from your home and your family and that kind of stability. But now you're expanding to some activities outside of music, and one of them is, now do you own this women's football team in England, or what's your connection there?
Oh, it's Claire, my girlfriend, her younger sister Louise plays women's football, or soccer, as you might say over here, but it's... It was just one of those things. They asked me to play at the end of the season at the medal ceremony, and I just did a short set of songs, which was quite a strange little gig. And I think I got drunk and offered my services if they needed any funding, and then they took me up on it, and then I just thought, oh, what a great thing to do. So I said I'd sponsor them for the season and see how it goes, and they haven't lost a game all season since I've been involved. So maybe my good luck's rubbing off on them.
Yeah, so if you're a betting kind of person, you might want to get information about this team, too.
It's Buxton Ladies. It's like it's about an hour from Manchester where I live. It's like in Derbyshire. So, no, it's a bit of fun, and my brother's he's writing some sitcom kind of thing. He's got no experience in it, but I'm going to help him with that. Doing stuff outside of music is really sort of really rewarding once you've come so far, and I'll never stop doing music. It plagues me, really. I never stop thinking about the next songs. So to do other things like that, it's a bit of a distraction as well. Well,
what about writing the songs? Is that something you can do anywhere, anytime, when you're on the road, or do you have to be in some sort of special circumstance to really, do your best songwriting?
Pretty much do it anywhere, but it tends to be at home, either early in the morning if I'm up taking Edie to school, and I'll have an hour where I've got time to myself, or late at night when the kids are gone to bed. Those 2 parts of the day are good at home for writing, but I don't tend to get time on the road. I've never really done that. I want to focus on doing the gigs as well as possible and chilling out and perhaps seeing a bit of the places that you're playing in. So there's never really time. I mean, but I'd like to do that. I don't know. I don't really understand how songwriting works. It just comes and you grab it when it's there, and. But you can write anywhere. I mean, I'd probably write a different kind of song if I wrote one today. I'm in Seattle, so yeah. Maybe I should try it. Maybe you've inspired me to give it a go. Not on air, but...
Well, you can. I mean, we'll let you, but yeah, it's true. And this is exactly the same sort of time of year you came last time we talked. And I remember that so well because you guys were waiting for a cab, and it was pouring down rain in sheets.
It was,
yeah. So... Maybe it'll happen again today, and if so, maybe there is a song there.
Well, Maybe it's too similar to home. It's always drizzling in Manchester as well.
Maybe you're bringing it with you.
I do like Seattle though. It's like, I mean, Portland's great as well. We were there yesterday, and Seattle's just always had, you know, one of those places that I always remember things about it, like down near the markets, down near the bay or the docks or whatever it is, and I always go down there and get an Irish stew somewhere. There's a pub around there that does. So we always have, and the rain's it's refreshing really, because we'll be in LA soon and it'll inevitably be sunny.
Right, and so, you know, for those listeners who aren't in Seattle, Badly Drawn Boy is traveling down the coast, across the country, through the southern area of the country, and then back up the coast all the way into Canada. So he may be coming to a town near you. Yeah,
I think there's about 30 shows, 30-something shows in 6 weeks, but with a 2-week break in the middle because I'm going back home for 2 weeks and coming back in November.
Oh, good. So lucky you. And your kids will be so happy to see you. He's playing tonight at the Showbox. You have one more song to do.
Yeah.
What is this one? Is this from the new album also?
Yeah, it's a song off the new album called The Year of the Rat, which I don't really know what it's about. It just came out of... And it's not The Year of the Rat. Although, coincidentally, my girlfriend Claire was born in 1972, and that was The Year of the Rat, so...
Maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah, I didn't know that, though, till after the event, so... I was really hoping it wasn't The Year of the Rat when I released the album, because I didn't want it to sound gratuitous, and it isn't till 2008, so hopefully there'll be a minor hit from this song every sort of 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like White Christmas at the right time of the year or the century. It'll keep rolling around. Yeah. Here's Badly Drawn Boy live on KEXP.
Cheers. June is on the run, for so long pushed and pulled then shunned. It was so wrong, these four walls crashing in won't stop me now, 'cause I'm alive, I'm out tonight, all night. Everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Every day we've got to hold on, 'cause if we hold on, we could find some new energy. Streets with flags unfurled like treasure, thank me for my words. It's a pleasure, just don't ask me to stay, 'cause I'll be gone, but it's alright, I'm okay, always. And everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Every day we've got to hold on, 'cause if we hold on, we could find some new energy. One plus one is one, together one plus one is one, forever one plus one is one, together one plus one is one, forever. Everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Everybody needs to know it's the year of the rat. Every day we've got to hold on, 'cause if we hold on, we could find some new energy.
Badly Drawn Boys live in the studios of KEXP. God, you just sound so good this afternoon. You sound great, and we want to thank Scott Colburn, our engineer this afternoon, for getting the good sound. And thanks, Steve, for hanging out also.
Thanks for having me as well. I've enjoyed it. Cheers.
You're playing tonight at the Showbox.
The Showbox, yeah.
And hopefully it'll be another memorable experience, but maybe in a different way than the one we were discussing earlier.
I think it will. I'm really confident about the way this tour's going already. It's like I'm just determined to enjoy it and do well. The new band are amazing. It's just brilliant people to be around as well.
Yeah, we should just mention that quickly.
And Ray as well. Ray's supporting. He started with us last night, supporting a few. He was on earlier on the show.
Yeah, he was here just a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should mention that while this is kind of solo acoustic, you'll have a different sound tonight because there'll be...
Yeah, it's a 7-piece band now on stage, strings and flute and stuff like that.
So completely, it's kind of the Badly Drawn Boy pop orchestra.
It is, yeah.
So that'll be happening tonight at the Showbox. Thanks again for coming in.
It's a pleasure. Cheers.
It's great having you.
Thanks a lot.
This is KEXP Seattle.